qualification. So please proceed to finish without interruption. Over to you.
Thank you, Marge. And I just said the things I'm talking about will be extrapolated by Dr. Miguna and the Chief Justice. So 3 things then. One, I said, part of the conversations that we had was that there was no request by the Gen Zs for President Ruto to constitute a dialogue phase, because what the Gen Zs were asking for the president is to play by the constitution by sacking the corrupt ministers, sacking the people who are incompetent, and that is very clear. There's nothing that you need dialogue about. And if you see, look at the TGRC report, look at the Ndungu report, look at the Waki report, look at the post-election violence report, Agenda 1, Agenda 2, and 3. So Kenya is replete with reports that just need to be implemented. So for Raila Odinga to request us to go for another dialogue session is to make sure he's misusing us like he's always misused people previously. And you must understand one thing with Raila Odinga is that he always wants to disrupt things. If he's not at the center of those activities, then he also wants to disrupt them. So I really think that in this particular instance, we cannot allow him to disrupt us. The third thing I wanted to say is the issue of public debt and an audit of the public debt. The reason why you might have seen Raila and his friends come out in the open is because you remember Raila being part of Uhuru's handshake, was part of the Chinese debts, was part of all these things. So they know for a fact that an audit or an opening of the public debt puts them all in the same corner. So what would I request of us to do in the next couple of weeks? Number one, I think we need to focus the revolution. We need to focus the revolution. And Gen Zs did a good job by starting the revolution. But I really think that right now we need all hands on deck. We've been on this particular call with all these veterans, CJ Willie, Dr. Muguna, who started these calls earlier on. I think we need all hands on deck. Let the Gen Zs do their role, which they've been doing very well. Let the millennials do it, because it's for country. So that at least let's focus, so that when the part of leadership comes through, then let the Gen Zs, of course, then take over power in the way that they please. But let everyone else play their role. The last thing I'd like to say is the next weeks of IBC appointment. That's going to be the frontier where we must fight Ruto and Raila in a way that gives us what we deserve. You've seen the way it's always possible to manipulate IBC commissioners. The role right now as it stands is very skewed in favor of Raila and in favor of President Ruto, because 5 out of the 9 people to be appointed as the selection panel are all going to be from political parties. That definitely gives them an advantage in terms of who then becomes on board. So I think even though we might be disadvantaged in terms of where we're starting from, I think that space is going to be for eternal vigilance, because then people are so that we do not scare too many people. If we protect that particular space, then we're going to be all good. The last one, the call for Ruto must always be accompanied by the call Gachagua must go. Because part of what is going on in the streets is that people are wondering that if you let President Ruto alone, how then does Gachagua become president? Which is even more horrendous than the current president. So I really think that clarion call should be for both of them. Of course, Ruto must go, Gachagua must go. But of course, when both of them go, and there are constitutional ways of doing that. If you look at the provisions of Article 143, once the president has gone, you can also throw away the deputy president. And then, of course, there's an election in 60 days. So that, of course, then still within the constitution. So that people like Ndego have no business getting worried. We will make sure the president resigns within the provisions of Article 146. We will make sure the deputy president resigns within the provisions of Article 143 and 144. And we shall have an election in 60 days where Gen Zs and other Kenyans can then put in the kind of president they want. Thank you very much, Maggie.
Thanks so much, Neto. And yes, Tonia, you next. Thanks for your submissions there. And Tony, take a go. And then Mkenya, your question.
Thank you. I just want